right. Welcome back to the Mike Small podcast, where I just talk about stuff that's interesting to me. On this one, specifically, an area of interest to me that I've been working on my own journey for the last, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years or so, it's finances. So with me, I have Ben, who is uh, awesome. He has his own channel. He's been doing some crazy stuff in the cybersecurity industry. And he's kind of been on his own financial journey as well, doing some crazy stuff. So we're just going to be talking about what people can do and what we have done to set ourselves up long term. Kind of a topic in cybersecurity a lot of people don't talk about in general. And I thought it'd be good to shed some light on it. Yeah. So Ben, do you want to talk about what you're up to these days?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Mike, for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Like Mike said, I'm a YouTuber. I have a channel called CyberWithBen, where I pretty much make videos about my journey in cybersecurity and kind of sharing my experiences so that people who also want to break into cybersecurity can use my videos as a way to help themselves and eventually land a job too. But yeah, on top of that, my name is Ben. I am a 25-year-old who currently works full time in cybersecurity. I've been working in cybersecurity for about 2 years now, so still relatively early on in my career. And like Mike said, I'm starting to take, I'm 25 now, I'm getting pretty old. I think it's time for me to start getting a little more serious about my finances and stuff like that. And, I was speaking to Mike about different sort of strategies to go about your personal finances and kind of stumbled upon the FIRE movement, the financial independence, retire early. And before we get into all this jargon, I also wanted to say by no means am I a financial advisor or someone who's extremely well versed in personal finances. I'm literally just getting started. But yeah, found out about the FIRE movement and specifically the Coast FIRE movement, which really appealed to me. As someone who's working in tech and who's relatively young, I feel like stumbling upon this sort of strategy to go about your personal finances is a really good sort of starting point, especially at this point in my career, to really kind of hone in on. Happy to hop on the show and talk a little bit about sort of the Coast Fire journey.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, and just to point out, neither one of us are, especially not me. The point of this isn't to give you advice and say, "Oh, you have to do this and you'll be rich and be able to retire early." The point is to give you like a starting point to start your own journey, or maybe give you more information if you've been thinking about, "Hey, I want to take this more serious. I want to learn some more stuff. Where do I start? I don't even know where to start. I don't, maybe I have whatever money and just sitting in a bank account somewhere. I don't know what to do with it." Yeah, this whole thing's just kind of just put some information out there into the ether, and just talk about our motivations for what got us, what we got it, why we got into this thing. Yeah. So yeah, you are, relatively young or old, as you say. What made you even start thinking about it? Because I don't know that I was thinking about it at your age.
Yeah. So I think I've had a pretty good relationship with money ever since I was young. I come from my parents are immigrants from Vietnam. They came here when they were about 35 years old with like $1,000 to their name. And I think they kind of instilled those values, the hard work and really every dollar has a lot of value to it and every dollar matters. So I think that kind of mindset and that kind of value was instilled into me at a very young age. I think even in, starting in high school, I think I was always looking to find ways to make money because I
Mm.
knew working a part-time job in high school wasn't going to pay you the most. I mean, get paid like my first job was working at Chipotle. I got paid $10 an hour.
Oh,
Um, and I knew that wasn't like a feasible thing if I wanted to make more money. So I was always finding different ways to make money. I tried to start an eBay and Amazon business that went pretty well. It
oh
paid for
wow.
my college tuition. That was really good.
Wait,
Worked
really?
at yeah. My eBay and Amazon business that I did on the side during high school paid for my college tuition. And
So let's pause. I gotta hear more about this. So what was this business? What did you do? Like, how do you make money doing this in high school or college?
yeah. So in high school, pretty much what I would do is I would go on platforms like Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Let Go, Craigslist, and find things that people were selling for a low price. maybe even try to bargain and make it even lower, and then resell those items on platforms like eBay and Amazon for more money, and then just continue doing that, as a snowball. And that's eventually how I paid off my tuition. And yeah, highly recommend it to anyone who's looking to make some quick cash or in high school or college.
That's crazy. And you just like looked up what the prices were and like, okay, yeah, that's a good deal. And then like, and you'd buy it and then flip it essentially.
Right. Yeah, I'd have some go-to items and stuff that I would, be my bread and butter. But yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
So like, what was your bread and butter? I have to know now.
It was calculators. It
What?
was Yeah, random stuff. It was iPods, iPhones here and there. Those can be kind of tricky because sometimes they're like iCloud locked and carrier locked, all that shenanigans. And then there was also batteries. I would sell like lawnmower batteries and like landscaping sort of tool batteries. Those did really well for me on Amazon. So just random stuff, really.
Dude, that is what you call a hustle.
Yeah, yeah. That was it was fun. It was fun for what it was.
Cool, man. That's thinking outside the box. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing throughout high school and college. And another thing I want to touch on was one of the reasons why I was able to pay off my college tuition through that business was because I chose the cheapest route I could do for my college education. So I stayed, in a state school, a public state school, so I could live at home and not pay any room and board costs. And I also went for the first 2 years of my career at a community college. So those are two huge decisions that I feel like people kind of overlook at
Mhm.
that, when they're 18 years old. They don't really consider these things. But for me, I knew I didn't want to graduate with any debt, or at least as little as possible. And those two small but big decisions played a huge part in being able to graduate with no debt.
Yeah, most people think like they want to go to this prestigious school or get far away from home or whatever, which is cool. I get that, but no one really cares where your degree comes from these days, as long as it's accredited. No one cares. Like, so I have two bachelor degrees. I didn't have to pay for either one of them because of the military. But my second one, I just went to the cheapest, fastest school that I could get my second degree because that was my cybersecurity degree. I think I did it in right under a year or something like that. And I just knocked it
Mm,
out and said, oh, and that's what started getting me interviews, like one of the things.
yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
One
Just
of
get the
my
paper.
Yeah, one of the things I think about in terms of college degrees is go big or stay home. So I'm thinking about go big as in like Ivy Leagues or like top
Mhm.
top schools. Those might be, worth it for the
Yeah.
tuition you're paying. If you don't get into those, just stay home, go to your state school, go to community college, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's usually like double if you go out of state. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy nowadays.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there's a lot of places that'll pay for school too. So like I think like even McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something like that will pay some tuition, but um just depending on what you want to do, but there's a lot of people that help pay some of that. Obviously the military, that's one of their big pitches. Hey, we'll pay for school. And something so I know there'll probably be a broad set of people that listen to this. In the military, this is what I did. This is why I got 2 degrees for free from the military. They have a program that allows you to take courses while you're in the military for free. You can take so many a year. So I did that. When I left the military, I had my first bachelor's degree in business. And then I had my GI Bill still because it doesn't take away from that whatsoever. So I had all my full GI benefits to go get another degree and take
Mhm.
certifications and stuff as well. Um,
Yeah,
so just look at what you have available to you and use it effectively, you know?
yeah. No, I can relate to that too because my retail job in college had a tuition reimbursement, so I definitely took advantage of that as well. So yeah, definitely do some research and figure out what you have access to and what can help you out for sure.
There's a lot of scholarships too, like South Carolina where I'm at, they have the lottery, but they call it the education lottery because as long as you had like a certain GPA in high school, I think like a 3.0, you get pretty much free tuition.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tech schools here as well where certain careers you can take for free. You don't actually have to pay anything for them. So yeah, ask around, do some research. Definitely just don't do a route because your parents did it. Get creative, especially if you're looking to do it kind of like a fiscally smart way where you don't have tons of debt. Like I dated a lawyer at one point and she had almost like $300,000 in debt from law school. I was like,
Oh, geez.
"Jeez." Basically a second mortgage.
Right.
Insane.
One I feel like one other thing that's not talked about enough too is because I recently read an article online about the top five highest ROI college majors.
Mm.
And I feel like something that's not talked about, especially when you're 18 years old, is what major you're deciding to invest in. Because that's a huge part of not only your college career, but your life in general, because it'll end up, dictating what kind of job you get outside of work and how much you'll be paid. So that's a huge decision that not a lot of people talk about, in my opinion.
Can you expand more on that? Like what type of majors did you see?
Yeah, so my major was a management information systems major, which is like a mix of business and IT. So it was right on the edge of business, a business major and like a STEM major. But from that article I was reading, the top five were number one was engineering, so
Mm.
mechanical engineers, civil, things of that sort, aerospace. Two was computer science, IT, and cybersecurity. Three was like nursing. Four
Mm.
was biochemistry, and the fifth was like accounting or something like that. But I feel like when you're making this decision, you definitely need to do your research and figure out exactly is this major I'm deciding to choose on going to benefit me and get some ROI for me when it comes time to get a full time job. And that was something that I really considered when I was making my decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good topic just to talk about as well. And one of the things we have to think about, well, I'll talk about that piece first, why I said that. So I went through so many majors before I settled on cybersecurity. So my first degree was general science. What can you do with that? I have no clue. Uh, My second major was computer science, and it was tough. It was really hard, and I ended up dropping out of school because I didn't like it. I believe it or not, I like programming now, but I'm from a hacker perspective. My third major was cultural anthropology.
Wow.
What do you do with that? I don't know either. But it was fun. I will say, out of all the professors I've ever had, the cultural anthropology professors were the most passionate I've ever met in my life. They're just, all of them are just like crazy. Pretty much like a lot of like people who are like in cybersecurity, like you'll meet a lot like that. They're just like all in. This is their thing. Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool. And then I did business, so I have a business administration degree and then a computer science degree as well. Or not a computer science, a cybersecurity something another. I don't even remember what it is. That's how much I care. Um,
Gotcha.
but the other thing I wanted to talk about was that you also kind of want to consider these days what's resilient to AI. Like that's a
Mm,
big thing coming into play now. Like people are
right.
losing their jobs. I mean, there's no way around it. So
Yeah.
what's going to stand up? And a lot of people are pushing like, these like hands-on jobs like maintenance or
HVAC.
AC,
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. They're not going to be replaced, but maybe our jobs and cybersecurity to some degree may, which yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I see it as a workforce augmenter, but with that being said, people are going to lose their jobs because they're going to need less of us because we have something helping us be more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to consider, especially if you're still in school, for sure. Um, yeah. Yeah. That's all I really had to say about it.
That's the Forrest
Well,
Gump
one
thing.
thing
That's all I got to say about that.
one thing I do want to ask you is let's say you're 18 years old right now, you're graduating high school and you're deciding, what you want to do with your college major. Um, how do you find the balance between stuff that you're passionate about versus the career outlook of it? So how much you're like earning from that major or job?
In a perfect world, everyone finds something they love to do. Like when I quit my job at Enterprise Rent a Car, after I took a web hacking course. I told you that story before, haven't I? Like how I got
No.
into cyber? Yeah. So I was, got out of the military. I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car because those are the only people that would hire me with my business administration degree. And I hated my life. When I say I hated my life, I hated my life. And that's saying a lot coming
What
out
were
of the
you doing? Were
military.
you manager?
Of just renting cars, asking people if they wanted insurance. Like
Oh, front like the
I was a
front desk.
manager in training. They're all managers in training. Um,
Uh,
and I took a class, like I was like, all right, I got to get out of this. I hate it. I need to find something I actually like to do. I was like, I worked at a help desk in school, and I liked computers. I didn't want to program per se, but maybe there was something in there. And so I took a web hacking course. I finished that sucker in like a week, put in my 2 weeks notice, and didn't look back.
wow.
I just grinded. I end up doing some part-time work, like driving around installing point of sale systems and stuff like that for a while. Then I got an internship at the VA hospital, and then I got picked up my first cybersecurity gig after that. So,
Wow.
but it was just like I found it. I was like, I'm in. That's it. Say no more.
Yeah.
I wish everyone had that experience in something they love, but that's not really the thing. I had someone tell me at one point, get a major, something you can make money, and then make enough money that you can do what you love,
Right.
like on the side or like in your spare time. But
Right.
you got to make a living. I mean, it sucks to say, but you got to make enough money so you're not struggling because, like, say you got something you love, right? And you're not making that much money, you're going to have to work long hours to be able to make enough money to fill the gap of between where you need to be and where you're at. So you're
Right.
still going to be working hard. You may as well put in the time to find something you love, whatever, if you got to go to school for it or whatever. But
Right.
it could also be perspective, if you just change the way you look at your job, um, it could be different. So like for me, I've kind of been at the point in my career of, do I want to say technical or do I want to be a leader? Because I've been in cybersecurity 10 years now. That's a decade, that's insane.
Yeah.
Um, and I look at it and I used to be an adamant, hard no, I'll pass. I don't want to be a leader. I just like hacking stuff and doing stuff. But, my brain slowly changes to, I can have more impact. I can make a bigger difference by being a leader, being a mentor, being a coach, in guiding a program, versus just doing one small thing.
Right.
So it could just be changing the way you look at something. But I mean, you got to make enough money.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm definitely on the side of finding a major that will make you money. Um, obviously money is not everything, but it's a pretty big part of our lives. And I feel like if you're to major in something that you're really passionate about, that's really good. But if it doesn't lead into something that doesn't make money, oftentimes maybe that passion will turn into something that um, it kind of hinders you, and then at that point doesn't really make you passionate about it anymore. So it kind of ruins your relationship with you, something that you probably loved in the beginning. Um, so yeah, that was one of the huge considerations that I had in my journey was sorry about that, Mike. I'm getting
You're good.
notifications on my phone, but that was
He's
one
a
of the
busy
huge
man.
considerations. When I was making a decision about my college major, and luckily enough, this major is really versatile. You can go into consulting, IT, computer science, cybersecurity. And lucky enough for me, I was able to go into cybersecurity. And my main goal was to minimize the amount of debt and the cost of going to college while maximizing the result of it. So that maximizing the income I could get from my job that I get from my college education.
Mm.
And I think I did a relatively good job at that. That enables me to look into things like Coast Fire and stuff like that to really set myself up for success in the future.
Yeah, very utilitarian there. No, I mean it's good. And I definitely want to move into like more of the finance stuff in a second. But you're talking about not making enough money and having the financial stress can ruin the way you think about something. It can also bleed into your relationship. I forget what the statistic is, but it's crazy high what percentage of couples break up or get a divorce because of money in general. So having that stress of debt and all this kind of stuff is is as bad as not making enough, being in a crappy job or whatever. Find that happy medium, because it
Right.
will ruin just your life. Think about how many people that just complain about their job every day, like just miserable, hate going
Right.
in, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the hard questions here, Ben. You
Yeah.
ready? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So you finished school, you started working, and then you started investing into things. So what caught your attention that made you start investing, and why did you chose the way you started investing?
Yeah. So I have rental property. So I invest in a bunch of different things. I have real estate. I do relatively enjoy real estate. It can be annoying sometimes because it's definitely not a passive investment. Oftentimes, people kind of frame real estate as something that's passive, but it's really not. I do like 401k and stuff like that, retirement funds, and then also my own personal portfolio of index funds and individual stocks and stuff like that. So I do like to diversify and invest into different things. But right now, a huge part of it is real estate and my own personal portfolio.
So what made you start investing in real estate? Because I've always toyed with the idea of doing that, and I just never pulled the trigger because people. Um, so like, did you see like a specific influencer? Did you read a book and like, okay, I think I can do this?
No, yeah, for sure. One of the biggest influencers for me going into real estate was definitely my parents.
Hmm.
They have a property as well, and they thought it was a really good idea to get myself into it too at a young age. I think one asset that we won't get any more of in this world is probably land.
Mhm.
It's really when once you own a property, it's yours for a long time. So I saw a lot of value in that, especially since right now I live in Northern Virginia and properties out here are extremely expensive. So I feel like one thing that drew to me in terms of real estate investing was finding properties that were a little bit further out of Nova, Northern Virginia, and investing in those so that eventually people, eventually the prices in Nova will get so expensive, people will eventually start to move outwards, further down south, further east, west, north, away from Nova, and those will drive up, property prices elsewhere
Hmm.
where I'm invested in. So that was sort of the ideology with real estate. Obviously, there's like cash flow and stuff like that. I got lucky enough to have, COVID interest rates for my mortgages, so that was a really good setup for that. Got really lucky. So right now it's just a pretty good situation. Only thing is, uh, if you have bad tenants, you have to deal with that. If stuff breaks down, you have to deal with that. So it's definitely has its pros and cons, but for the most part, it's been a pretty good setup for me in terms of real estate.
It's mostly your parents that were like, "Yeah, you should do this too, Ben," and you had to watch them kind of do their thing with their property. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I think it's a good idea."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a cash flowing asset. It makes sense. Property values go up. Every time they pay the mortgage, you get slightly more equity every
Yep.
month. You know what I mean? So it was on paper, it was a good investment for me. It's still doing well. Um, One regret I do have is because of the fact that real estate requires a lot of money up front, the down payment and also fixing things up. Oftentimes, when you buy a house, a lot of stuff can be broken down or needs to be renovated. So it requires a lot of liquid. Um, and because of that, I wasn't able to invest early on as much as I've wanted to, at an earlier age, like when I was maybe 18, 20 or something like that. So I'm kind of making up for that lost time now while I have my, full-time job and stuff like that. So that's the one regret that I have not doing earlier. But, it's a pro and con, it's a trade-off. So I have real estate properties as a result of that, but maybe you could have invested more and saved more to invest in stocks back then.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a pro and con. pro and con situation. There's so many different things you can invest in, and people just have to kind of figure out, what their risk model is, I guess, to use a fancy word, um, and kind of lean into that. Like a lot of people invest a lot more aggressively than I do when I invest in stock. I just typically invest in like just the general stock market, like the S&P, like Vanguard
Right.
stuff. I love because I used to do like a ton of individual stocks when I was in the military with all that like deployment pay and stuff. Then like it takes so much time to read all these quarterly statements and understand like all these intricacies, and it's like I'd rather invest in my actual skill that's making money and then
Uh,
let the stock market do its thing and not have to do all the research.
right.
Yeah, it sounds
Right.
like you actually like to do some of that research and put a lot of time. Like, what's your approach? If you look at stocks, how do you decide, hey, this fits in Ben's portfolio here?
Uh, I don't do any research in
Uh,
terms of my individual stocks. I just go with the big names. So like,
YOLO.
you know, like Amazon, Apple,
Mm.
Microsoft,
Blue chip.
obviously those companies are doing huge things like, ChatGPT, AI and stuff like that. Those kind of, go into my consideration with picking different stocks, their future outlook, obviously. But I don't do anything in terms of like I guess really looking into a company like a sleeper company who's a lot smaller and they could potentially blow up. I don't do any that kind of research. I kind of stick with the popular guys and then obviously invest in like index funds like the VOO and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's the majority of my portfolio. I'm more of a risk averse kind of guy. I kind of just the S&P performs well year over year for the most part, so why not just stay consistent with that and invest every single month in that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. I will tell you, like I'm curious if you've done this yet, where like I've been trying to use ChatGPT to invest some. So like I did it for a few $1,000 this month. Yeah, we're still in July, where like I like Warren Buffett's approach in general, where he looks for undervalued things that still have a lot of value. They have good leadership. They're still good companies. They're just for whatever reason they're just not really looked upon well at this time frame. They're just not a favor.
Yeah.
So I like to find stuff like that and invest in it, and I just started doing that again. So I'll let you know how that goes. But I was like, ChatGPT, I like this is my investing strategy. Give me these companies and tell me why you like these and why their stock went down or how far down is it, and then why you think it's going to go back up, and why it's a good quality company still.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta let me know how that goes. I'll be curious to know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of these, like a lot of them are using AI for it now, but it's really not good at reasoning in general. It's good
Right.
at looking at patterns and guessing stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how it
Gotcha.
goes. The last topic I want to talk about with you is fire. We talked about fire earlier. So when did you start getting into fire and why?
I got into fire like last week. I'm not even gonna lie. um, I guess the main reason was because first of all, I saw a lot of YouTube content on it.
Hey, listen to
And
us have that
also,
conversation the other week. Must be.
yeah, yeah, but I got into it because I saw a lot of YouTube content on it. And also I'm getting a little bit, older at 25, and I want to start to take my personal finances more seriously and stumbled upon fire and stuff like that. But um, specifically with Coast Fire, I don't see myself as someone who wants to work for the 50, 60, or 40, 50 years for the rest of my life. It's not something that, regardless of what I was doing, even if it was something that I really enjoyed and loved doing, I just don't want to be working till I'm 50, 60, and 70, stuff like that. So I wanted to, at this point in my life, kind of set myself up for success so I don't have to do that if I don't want to. And Coast Fire is exactly that. From what my understanding of what it is you invest aggressively, pretty aggressively early on in your life, and you kind of build up that snowball until year over year it can kind of sustain until it grows into your retirement fund at whatever age you want. So, um, I've kind of had I kind of outlined my plan, um, for when I want to retire and stuff like that, and how much I need to save every month and invest in order to hit that goal. So that's really where I'm at right now. I just have to execute on it and continue to just stay consistent with it. It's definitely not something that's easy, or it's definitely not something that yeah, it's not easy to do, but just gotta stay consistent and kind of automate things as much as
Right.
possible, so you don't really have to think about it. That's the easiest way to go about it, in my opinion. But that's where I'm really at, just kind of starting it and seeing if I can stay consistent to eventually hit my goal. But um, one thing I also wanted to mention was with Coast Fire, I believe when you hit your Coast Fire number, you're expected to not invest at all once you hit that number. Like that how it works usually. But even if I do hit that Coast Fire number, I still see myself investing. So it's not really like a thing where I need to pinch pennies all the time. Right now, I still see myself investing later on. So it's like a just a general guideline to follow, in my opinion. I don't really need to stick to it like it's life or death. But I think it's just a good rule of thumb and outline to have, so I know what kind of direction I'm going and what kind of framework to follow, really.
Yeah, it's really like a choose your own adventure. And yeah, I'll put one of the books I like. I always forget what it's called because my cousin asked me the other day for. I was like, dang, I forgot. I think I sent it to you, and I can't
Oh, you know,
remember.
I have it right here.
Oh, you bought it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, Simple Path to Wealth. Yeah, it's the easiest book I've ever read that makes the most sense with finance. And the story behind it is this guy, he was sending letters to his daughter in college, like trying to teach her how to invest and handle money, and that's what it's built from are those letters. And the new one is she's actually helping him edit the newest edition, probably the one
Oh,
that you have, because my girlfriend actually got it too, because I was telling her about it. But yeah, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. For me, I'm kind of like in the middle between Lean Fire and then like Coast Fire is like some of it too, because I do budget and I'm always looking for ways to save money, but I don't like do it so I'm like eating ramen noodles all the time. I don't do that. But there are
right.
things you can save. So like for instance, like I used to have a phone bill, like a normal phone bill from like a major company, and now I just do the prepay. Like I used to do Mint Mobile. It's like $20 a month. So
Uh,
like for the cost of like 2 months of a normal phone bill, I can pay for the whole year. So boom, I just saved a ton of money. But
right,
stuff like that, like you can always find ways to save money, like shop around for your car insurance and homeowners insurance and on like every year. But there's typically lots of way getting better with food. Like I batch cook all my food. So I'll cook like a week's worth of meat at one time. So like 10 pounds of chicken from like a big like bulk store and like
right.
cook it, freeze it. Like I freeze the mess out of stuff. Just so
Okay,
it saves me time because I'm busy with like full-time work and then job and podcast and all this stuff, our
right.
company and whatnot. So I always try to find ways to save time and money. But I'm not like a penny pincher per se. But
Yeah,
if it saves me a lot of money, I'll do it. But if
right,
it takes a lot of time and effort to, I don't have time for that mess. It needs to be streamlined, like you talked about, because we're busy people.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I need to get better on is spending money on food because I'm a huge foodie. I feel like I give credit to everyone who does all that meal prep and stuff and eats the same thing every single day. It's just too hard for me, man. I love food too much. I can't do that. But I definitely could be eating probably a lot cheaper stuff and not cheaper stuff, but I could be more, cook myself more and save money on that way. Um, but yeah, I need to do better on that. But most of my expenses are just food related stuff, just eating out and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's budgeting is cool. It's definitely a good exercise to go through, and you can see where you kind of like leaking money you don't need to leak because it will like disappear if you don't watch it.
Right. Right.
So it's always a good practice. I need to do it. I haven't been doing it since I got into this house really this year. But I'm like, "Ah, I need to get back on my game. Although I have like good percentages with saving, like I'd save it. I was back last year. I was saving like 80% of what I made because of the way I like had my situation going, and then I got a new house, and then it's about 50%. But
Yeah.
still good margins. But yeah,
Right.
like like you, I don't want to work forever. I definitely don't plan to work when I'm 60, but I want to have the choice. Like I look at maybe doing intermittent retirement where I work. I've pretty much hit my Coast Fire number this year, or I will by the end of this year. Um, and where I'm good if I don't put any more money into it. But like more money never hurts, one, but then I can do the intermittent retirement sooner, right? Because Coast
Right.
Fire is like I don't touch it for maybe 20 years, I'm good.
Right.
Well, mine's more like probably like 12 years. I'll hit that number without putting any more money in it. But, that timeline shrinks the more you invest early. But yeah, like intermittent retirement. Okay, I'm gonna take a year off, go travel the world, go do this, go to conferences. Like I never see myself not doing cybersecurity stuff because I love it.
Hmm.
But I like the choice to not have to sit in front of a computer and actually have to do like a 9 to 5 every day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the most freeing feeling to be able to have that choice, to stop what you're doing if you want to, or continue doing because you want to too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, having that they call it FU money, right? Where it's like, I'm over this, FU, I'm out of here. Like, and have no care of like, if I got laid off tomorrow, I don't care.
Right.
Like I'm in a good situation as is. I'll find a
Yeah.
job. I've invested in my skill set enough where if I need to, I could probably find a job in the next couple of weeks. But, it's just invest in yourself, invest, get that stockpile, having like that 6 months of money or 3 months of runway, whatever you need. People like have different risk profile for that too. That's something to consider if you haven't thought about it. Like if you don't have enough, where if you were laid off, because I mean that's the reality. Stuff happens, especially in like FANG companies, and like Meta and Google are always laying off batches. Um, you need to be set up because otherwise you racking up that credit card debt that's like 20% interest or whatever is nuts.
Yeah.
And just getting out of like getting rid of car payments, all these things go a long way. Like I haven't had a car payment in I don't know how many years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's just freeing. You're just like,
I mean, yeah.
good.
One of the biggest life hacks is staying at home with your parents too, if you can still do that. I'm still doing that at 25, and I don't see myself moving out anytime soon because, man, moving out is expensive. I'll tell you what. Like, you gotta, my brother has an apartment. He's, you gotta pay for rent, utilities, parking spaces,
Mm.
groceries, all of that stuff, and it really adds up. So, saving money and living at home definitely helps me a lot with, the Coast Fire goal and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's tough out there. Yeah, that's why a lot of people have roommates and stuff too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's tough, but cool, man. Well, I guess that's it. I know we both had a long day, and I got to stream in about 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man.
I'm gonna stream at 6, but I'm gonna take a quick break before I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. I'm definitely curious to see where you're at in a couple of years, see how your journey's going, and I'm sure we'll obviously we'll keep talking and chatting anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
but
thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having
yeah,
me.
thanks for having me. Definitely check out Ben's YouTube channel. He does some amazing stuff. He's also on Instagram. Are you on any of the other? Are you on TikTok and all that as well?
TikTok, same handle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's your handle again? Say it for
Uh,
everyone.
at Cyber with Ben.
Cyber with Ben. There you go. So check him out. Great guy. Thanks for having. Thanks for coming on. I thank myself for having you. I don't know what I'm saying.
All
Yeah.
right.
Anyways,
Yeah.
have a good day, man. Take care.
See ya.